right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you please state your name?
Yes, it's
Turd Ferguson.
Okay, Turd Ferguson.
When you worked with deaf kids, what, if anything, did you do to learn to be able to work with them?
Objection, Your Honor. Can you please tell Miss Heard to remove the Turd Ferguson hat?
Overruled.
Well, in the battle of the headlines, certainly this week was at least a counterpunch. Look, I know that people get really angry when if I have to be very careful how I word things. Look, again, I will remind people, I believe that Johnny Depp was defamed, and I hope he wins the lawsuit. And Amber seems like just the definition of awful. Okay, so we're all on the same page there, all right? Last week, I talked about, and some people really didn't like hearing this, but I try to remain objective. In the battle of headlines, Amber had a nice counterpunch last week. Now, if you're watching the trial and you're saying, nobody believed that, blah, okay, maybe. Okay? Maybe I'm the only one that could look at 100 out of 100 headlines being pro-Amber and think that was probably good for her. Maybe I'm just a simp. But now there's a week off in which I think, and according to several experts, this is going to be very bad for her because the prosecution, Johnny's team, is going to have a lot of time to pick apart what has already appeared to be several, and I mean several, holes in her story. Let's start with maybe the most hilarious. Someone let one rip on the stand during the Johnny Amber trial, and there's video. Yes, there is video. Now, I don't know, let's just start with a bit of a meme, There are people in this world, two types of people in this world: liars who deny they're the one who supplied, and heroes who immediately own up to the crime. Let the record show a woman testifying in the Johnny Amber event is a member of the second group. She let out a rager while on the witness stand in court the other day and immediately owned up to it. The rip and subsequent admission was a welcome moment of levity in the trial that has featured a lot of finger pointing. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at the video.
And can you just describe for those of us who have no idea, like myself, what does arnica cream look like?
sorry, that was me. It's white emollient.
That sounds fake. Is that fake? That sounds fake. That's like the typical like whoopee cushion sound effect. I don't know. We'll see Johnny's face. TikTok is full of like misedited stuff. Let's see.
Can you just describe for
Let's see. Hold on.
no idea,
Hold on.
myself, what does arnica cream look like?
It's kind of like a white.
Nobody even smiled? That can't be real. It sounds like very cartoony. I hope it's real. The world needs this to be real. But now some old interviews resurfaced that contradict her sworn testimony. And now we're into more serious trouble. Either Amber suffers from memory loss, or her legal team is actually feeding her a fake script to benefit her against Johnny. In the trial, on their initial statement, Amber described not really knowing anything about Johnny before meeting him on the set of The Rum Diary. However, new evidence suggests that the exact opposite and confirms Johnny's own statement about how they met. For Johnny, he recalls Amber as a flat-out groupie of his, as she constantly flattered him with references and compliments. That's what made him fall in love with her. Wow, that was easy. During the production. In an old interview, Amber talks about how much she reveres him. Interesting. And this is the kind of stuff like the internet. If you don't think that Johnny's team has like people who are literally following these TikTokers and following like Nick's stream, following Twitter accounts, following YouTube accounts, they do, because like a lot of them are doing a lot of the hard work for them. The initial statement about Johnny on the trial, she brushed off knowing him before getting the role. Take a look at how she gushed about him after getting a chance to share the screen with him after such an iconic character. It's clear she had a mild obsession about him, but she suddenly forgot? The two sides of Amber's stories don't match each other. Now, maybe she was lying here, and she was pretending to care. I don't know. And then, of course, the internet ran wild, being 100% sure that, old AMB took a bump while she was blowing her nose. I didn't believe that. Again, people are so desperate to believe everything negative about her is absolute fact. It's dangerous. It makes people mad. It makes people unsubscribe to me. I just look, why stretch? So much of what we know to be factual is bad. I just think it's a bad look to be like, oh yeah, she's definitely taking a bump there. I get maybe it's unlikely. Usually when you blow your nose, you might do a little at the end. I don't know.
Mental condition.
It's still hearsay, Your Honor.
Why would people think that that's... here's the thing. She didn't take the tissue from a box. It was in her hands. However, we'll analyze the situation later. I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly, it doesn't look like it to me. But another hilarious, excuse me, kitty, ow. Cut your nails, Colt. Sorry, my cat's crawling around on me. Over the weekend, some internet sleuths sent me this in screenshots of it, and I was like, oh, this is probably fake. There's so much fake stuff floating around. But now it turns out it's real. The IMDb page ends up reading, a different spelling of her last name. Now, the change was reflected in Google. This is a Google search out, if you search your name, it actually read, the last name was spelled T-U-R-D instead. Of course, a reference to the gift that was left in the bed. So people, look, I think it's pretty clear, regardless of the outcome, the money that's getting spent is obviously not insignificant, but regardless of the outcome, I think Johnny has won in that, in the court of public opinion, this woman is tainted. Everywhere she goes, every job she works on for the rest of her life will get just barraged with negative press and negative reviews and things of that nature. If that's what he was hoping, I think he's accomplished that at this point. Whether or not he'll actually win the lawsuit and win $50 million from her, I don't know. Is it just her? Do you also go after the ACLU, which now we know was kind of colluding with her? You have this, but here's some really good news for Johnny. There's a week-long break in the trial gives his team advantages in cross, expert says. Johnny's trial is scheduled on a week-long break after the world listened to a parade of witnesses, including Amber, in the past 10 days. Yeah, nobody had any information about that. The other trial in New York, that was far more important. But anyway, Johnny's trying to prove to a jury, blah, blah, blah. Johnny's case is no layup for his legal team, according to leading entertainment attorney Daniel Gutenplan. It's kind of a good name if you sell consulting. Has represented clients on both sides of high-profile defamation cases. He contends Johnny still has an uphill battle to win his case and secure $50 million judgment he is seeking. As most defamation plaintiffs have, Johnny and his team have an uphill battle and have a challenge in proving the case because they have to prove, first of all, that anything that was said in the op-ed and testimony is completely false, the media entertainment IP lawyer told Fox News Digital. The Washington Post piece in question, of course, doesn't mention him by name, although his camp will argue, and I think it's a compelling argument, that a reasonable reader will assume that the article is written about Johnny. And I agree with that. I think if I'm on the jury, I buy that too. But of course, it doesn't just not mention him. It also does not mention any specific instances of bad behavior or events. So it doesn't say on this date and time, this thing happened. So it'll be difficult to disprove that kind of stuff. However, Guttenpine, who is not involved in the proceedings in Fairfax, Virginia, maintained that the week-long adjournment couldn't have come at a better time for Johnny, and his legal team will be given the wild details that have emerged. It gives his team a full week to prepare its cross-examination, and they're going to be able to poke like a zillion holes in her story. They're going to poke every little hole in their testimony they can, and they're going to try and create so many inconsistencies that they're going to tell the jury, if she can lie to you and misrepresent or change her story in these small ways, then the entire testimony is polluted. You can't possibly believe any of it. Johnny from the offset expressed that he's only bringing the $50 million defamation cases against his ex to clear his name and recoup potential earnings he feels he lost due to the claims. I think that, like, I would argue that in this case, you know, I think that a reasonable person could say, yeah, people think that was about Johnny. And then the same reasonable person should probably also be able to say, like, this is why he lost his job. So if you can make those two connections, then you can vote vote in his favor. And I'm hoping that happens. We'll have to see how Cross works out over the next week, but they're certainly going to have enough time to load up. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.